Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. A lot of stuff to cover today. Muchas cosas para hablar hoy. We're going to have a good time. How are my people doing? Welcome aboard, everybody. Don't have the list on me yet, so bear with me as I set things up here. This is different. It looks like they changed a few things around on Substack. Let's see if I got that right, or there's just something else that's going on here. Para ver qué está pasando. Anyway, folks, I don't see my questions. I don't see my people on the list. Oh, let's go ahead and rejiggle that and see if somehow they have made a difference on, that is different. I just used it this morning. We just used it this morning y parece que no está funcionando como debe de estar funcionando. Oh, wow. Wow. Bear with me a minute, folks. It seems like there may be an issue that I'm not going to be able to see our Substack stuff, which is not a good thing. We're going to try to make sure because I want to make sure that I can see all of you as we go through this thing. Well, you know what? It looks like I may have to go down to the good old reliable phone to see our Substack personnel. But you know what? We'll do what we have to do in real time. When you get lemons, what do? You make lemonade. When you get lemons, you make lemonade. Wow, that is interesting, people. We're going to start the program in a minute, but I can see my chat from. I can see one of my chats, but I can't see the others. So bear with us as we kind of get things rolling here. This may actually be an issue that they're having at Substack. So we'll find out in a minute as I relaunch this thing here and see what we've got. Bear with me, folks. We're going to start in a minute. I promise you. I promise you we'll start in a minute. Well, wow. They are having issues with Substack, folks. Okay. It seems like there's some issues with Substack. We'll just go ahead. Anybody who wants to actually send me information, just go ahead and send it through the other chat. Anyway, we're going to have a great show for you today. How's everybody doing? Let's go ahead and welcome those that we are able to welcome now. And that's what we are going to do now. Welcome aboard. AVQ from Brooklyn, New York is in the house. We also have Patrick Meow Magner from Houston, Texas. Welcome aboard, Patrick. We have in the house, para ver, Joe from Los Angeles, California. Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. We've got Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. Bruce Pollard from Kingwood, Texas. Harry Denson from Missouri City, Texas. Lita Bearcat from Austin, Texas. Carl Cox from Riverdale, Georgia. We have who else is here? Well, the rest are on Substack, which we don't have access to at this point in time. We hope that Maybe at some point it gets better and it starts working appropriately. All right, got a lot to talk about. Um, I did an interview this morning. There's a lot to do. There's a lot bad that's happening in the country. I get it. I honestly get it. And when I go out there and I hang with the leaders in the activist community here in Kingwood and in Houston, one of the things that I normally hear from a lot of folks is they are out there, they're beating the pavement, but at the same time they're saying, "I hope this is gonna work. I hope this is gonna work." But yes, of course, there's time for Facebook. Of course, there's time for Facebook. Come on, Michael, you know better than that. I play your stuff all the time. Come on, come on now. And I called all of you out on Facebook as well. What is your intro comments? I am here for the first half today, watching for Twitch for a while, waiting for a car to come and pick me up soon. Okay, great. Thank you for being here. You know you're cherished for everything that you bring here, my brother. And he says, I would appreciate if you could post this image on the screen. There's a general strike now. Oh, really? That? Oh, yeah, I know about that. Okay, I'll put that on the screen for you right now, my brother. I'll put it on the screen right now. I don't want you to think that we're favoring one thing over the other. Don't want you to think that. So I will go ahead and make sure and put that on the screen. But you got to give me a smile, brother. There it is. Pretty good. Reason for a national strike. Reason for a national strike. I agree. I agree. Reason for a national strike. But you know what, Michael? Isn't there supposed to be some more information on this thing? When you find it, let me know and I'll put it out there. All right, folks. So anyhow, let's see what else have we got here. Vamos, hace buen tiempo. Yes, it's good time. It's good time. All right. So anyhow, a lot of times people would say, "But is it going to work?" I hope it works. And you know what? Cheryl Elkins. I don't know if you're on, Cheryl, but Cheryl Elkins connected me with the founder of Visibility Brigade. And the Visibility Brigade is doing a lot of good work here in Houston, also, right? And for those of you that think things doesn't work, I want you to listen to this guy, the founder of the Visibility Brigade, who I interviewed a few hours ago. And check this out. We'll take it on the other side. Welcome to another edition of Politics on Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. You know, recently on my radio show, I was speaking to one of our devout listeners, Cheryl Elkins, and we were speaking about all the different activist groups out there, people making a difference. And we had Neil Aquino from the Houston Democracy Project on. And Dana sent me not Dana, but Cheryl sent me an email and she said, Egberto, you have to contact Dana because you speak about people going out there, activating and doing something. Well, guess what? I know somebody who's out there doing something and he's gotten a whole lot of other people engaged. Folks, welcome aboard. We're honored to have Dana Glazer, founder of our Visibility Brigade, here with us today. Dana, how are you doing today?
Good to see you, Egberto.
Well,
doing well.
Dana, let me tell you, in these times more than ever, we need people to people to realize that they are already empowered to do what's necessary to maintain our democracy. Sometimes we need a catalyst to actually move them on. And from everything I've heard about you, it seemed like you were ideal in your part of this country to do it. Tell us a little bit about the Visibility Brigade.
Sure. Well, the Visibility Brigade started in Paramus at the overpass that you probably can see right behind me. And it was created by me and a number of other activists. And it was done because we were concerned that you drive around and everything seems normal in a time when it's not. And so we wanted to disrupt that normalcy and to remind people that they have civic responsibility in terms of upholding our democracy. And so we started putting signs up on the overpass. And about a year ago, we created a toolkit so that we could share what we learned, and other people could do this in other parts of the country. And since then, we're closing in on 400 groups.
400 groups.
Yeah.
Wow, that is powerful, and that is what we call a people's movement. And you are one of many movements out there, but that is how fast did it were you able to grow it to that size, or was your group able to grow it to that size?
Well, it goes in fits and sputters and starts, and it's an interesting thing how this sort of goes. I mean, some days we get 5 new groups, and some days we get none, and I think that people see what we're doing, and then they get inspired, and then they go and create their own visibility brigades, because they see that the power of what we do is, we are bubble busters. It doesn't matter what silo you're in, what you think about the news or what have you. If you're driving past us, you're going to read our message regardless of where you are. And so that's a really amazing thing on a daily basis. When we go out, like in Paramus, that's between 5,000 and 15,000 people that see us every time we do this. And so if you do that times 400, that number really starts to add up. And so we create awareness. I think that we also serve as an alternative news source for a lot of people, because oftentimes what we do is we state the truth about what is happening in a very plain kind of way. And so we inspire people, we remind people that they're not alone. And then we get people come and join us. And that's the beauty of this. It's all volunteer driven. There's no money in the Visibility Brigade. It's just all people power and all about the passion for saving our country. And that's purely what we're about.
You mean you're not paid activists from Soros or one of these other groups? Are you sure that all that 400 groups that you have out there, which amounts to thousands of people, aren't getting a paycheck from Soros?
It's an interesting thing. I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and I can just sort of jokingly say, well, we haven't gotten our check in the mail yet. but I think it's an interesting thing to sort of consider why people would think that. And what's interesting is that a good swath of people who are involved with Visibility Brigade are educators or nurses or doctors, or in service veterans, in service of others. And it's somehow built into the people involved in this movement. And I think in anybody who is trying to actively try to save our country, to be of service to something larger than ourselves. And so if you're on the other side, you're thinking, well, what's the matter with these people? They must be paid, because why would they be doing something like that? Well, the answer is, the antidote to saving our democracy is to be civically minded, is to donate some time every week to saving our country. And that's why we're in this mess. And that's why we're doing this, to get more people in the habit of doing this.
That is beautiful, that these are people who serve. And of course, it naturally comes that as you see the country in trouble, that you serve. As you see it right now, what are our major problems that you all want to make aware and also solve?
Oh, just fascism.
Mm-hmm. Just your basic fascism,
just fascism,
right? Right.
This little thing. I mean, I think that's the heart of it. But I think that really what it comes down to is greed, and that we have a system that unfortunately has run off the rails and is rewarding people for being greedy and accumulating way too much wealth while other people are suffering. So there's an imbalance that's occurred over the last 50 or so years. There's also the inherent problem of racism that goes back to the beginning of our country that's never been resolved, and that exacerbates this problem. So there's a number of things that are happening, but I think that what it's ultimately led to is the reality that we have a country that's troubled. And It's an incredible country. It's a beautiful country. And there's so much hope and vitality and so many wonderful people in every part of our country. And yet there's this evil that we have to root out and deal with and bring democracy back in to everybody's lives so that we can have more equal footing, so we can have a more equitable society.
You're so right. The country is populated of beautiful people, good people, mostly good people. We just simply too often have the knack to elect those that aren't so beautiful. And I think one of the things that you said in the beginning of this interview is you express messages on those overpasses that you put there in a plainly, easily understandable manner. Because I think that is why good people elect bad politicians, because they're able to put things in generally complicated words that confuse people into voting against their own interests. And you guys are out there clarifying not only messages, but issues and policies. When you sat down and realized that you had that you could do this, what would you tell somebody who know there's something wrong, want to do something about it, but just believe they don't know where to start? What would you tell that person?
I would say to the person, I'd say to whoever's watching this, consider what your skill sets are. And that could be what professionally, what you are trained to do, but it also could just be what are your personal strengths as a person in terms of capability. We all have skills and gifts that we've been given, and we must all use them. So I'm a filmmaker, and so a lot of the things that I put into what we have as the Visibility Brigade comes from my understanding of filmmaking, of telling a story, of organizing people, and creating, using creativity to thwart the problems that we face.
Well, let me tell you something, Dana. The work that you do is so important, and it's also most importantly inspiring and feels achievable. Those are two very important things. Something that is inspiring, that feels achievable, is something that we all are willing to do. Usually, the last question I always ask is, what should I have asked you that I didn't?
Well, I think the best in terms of what we do, if what you the Visibility Brigade, if our approach inspires you to go do something like this, come join us. And the simplest way to do so is to go to visibilitybrigade.com and sign up. You can sign up as an individual and join our movement. You can register a group and adopt an overpass and join us. That's how we're going to solve this problem, is by all working together. And everybody has different ways of doing things, and like I said, we all have skill sets. We all need to put those skill sets to use in however we can to save our country. That's got to be the priority right now.
We've been speaking with Dana Glazer, founder of Visibility Brigade. Thank you so kindly for having spoken to Politics Done Right, even if in an impromptu manner. Thank you so kindly.
Thank you, Egberto. It was a pleasure being here.
All right, folks. Dana was brought to you courtesy of Cheryl Elkins, who connected us and said, hey, you got to talk to this guy, because the things that this guy is doing is exactly what we talk about when we talk about people being able to go out there and do stuff. So, Mademoiselle Elkins, thank you so kindly for making that connection. He was, we spoke quite a bit before and after. I love what he actually was able to accomplish by putting that group together, and what you all do. You just mentioned in the chat that you get about 6,000 cars per hour passing over the bridge that you are on. That is a hell of a visibility. I want to remind you, and who just reminded me of this? Is this Michael or somebody else? Guess what? The start reserving March 28th. March 28th is the No Kings. Remember, we're going to hit that 3%. That 3% of the population we will hit on March 28th. Let's hope the weather is good because we want to have the biggest, the largest protest ever. Egberto, stop. That was a reminder from last year. What is a reminder from last year? Oh, God. Wait a minute. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I have the wrong one. And no, 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 no. No, no. This is for this year, Michael. In 2025, we had it. This year, it's going to be more. Don't scare me like that, dude. No, I don't think this is from last year. I got a thing in the mail that says the 28th. Let me check another piece because I got a No Kings notice in the mail just now. And I believe it's on the 28th. Don't let me be given bad information now. Otherwise, I'm going to have to change it. Go ahead and correct the tape. Uh, hey, guys, look it up. Look up, make sure for me, guys. Somebody go ahead and do that. Make sure and look it up for me. Anyhow, let me just say something else. I saw something from Brother Fleming here that I want to mention because a lot of right wingers have been using it. Thank you, Cheryl. It is a 28. Okay, folks, check this out. Remember when they tried to make it seem like the protests was violent and that somehow somebody's finger got bitten off? Well, some one of the agents, the ICE thugs' fingers got bitten off, right? Well, it turns out Christenome claimed yesterday an agent's finger was bitten off by protesters. However, now we know an improperly detonated flashbang grenade blew his thumb off. I mean, these people can't stop lying. I mean, they can't stop lying. Why would anybody believe absolutely anything that comes out of ICE, that comes out of the Trump administration? Why would? Why would that occur? Come on, man. You can't believe anything that these people have to say. Another one, Paul Fleming. In a bombshell revelation, the EU sources disclosed that Europe successfully used US debt securities to pressure Trump on Greenland. A Danish pension fund had begun dumping debt securities, and the EU was ready to do the same on a massive scale to crumble the US economy. I love that hardball. Remember what I told you guys a few days ago, and I actually also did a piece on it, and that is when you're we have something called fiat currency. And when your money is based on nothing, just a faith in the country, and when you become a debtor country like we are today, a country based on debt, right? You don't really have a lot of leverage. And all these countries need to do is to start dumping our securities. But it's worse than that, folks. Donald Trump is talking about, oh, he wants to raise the defense budget to $1.5 trillion. He wants to give more money to ICE. He wants to do all these things that going to cost more money. He wants to go ahead and keep tariffs going, which means taxing the American people to bring more money into the coffers of the United States, not from the foreign countries, but from us. That's what he wants to do. But you know what? The interest on our debt is now $1 trillion a year, folks. So before we do anything, a third of our budget or so, $1 trillion going into pay for our interest payments. What does that mean? Where is he going to get the money to increase the defense budget? The defense budget is too damn high anyway, right? But we have to start thinking about what's going on here in the world. We are broke. Let me correct something. We're not necessarily broke, right? We could actually inflate ourselves out of debt if we really wanted to without severe. There are ways to do it, but what it means is that the wealthy people will no longer be wealthy, right? I mean, well, they'll still be wealthy, but the excess that they have would not be there. But again, we don't want to do that. I want to do that, but most politicians wouldn't want to do that. Okay? Most of them wouldn't want to do it, even though these people didn't earn what they have. You know, didn't earn what they have. But yeah, we I read the paper that I wrote. Let me go ahead and pull that up and put that in the chat, because I think it's important that we actually learn a little bit. I started some of that explanation on our $38 trillion debt. I'm going to put that Substack in the chat right now. When you get some free time, check it out. Check out that Substack that I wrote a couple of days ago. And actually, I did a soliloquy on KPFT and then wrote that Substack on that particular issue. But anyhow, I got another video I want to play for you guys. Um, Marco Rubio, right? He was talking about Iran, answering a question about Iran. And after he gave a description of what's going on in Iran, one of the things that behooved me is that sounds eerily familiar. Where is that happening as well? Where is that happening again? Oh my God. What he is describing in Iran, a version of that is occurring in the United States. Huh. I want to play that little piece for you, very short video. And then I want to talk about that. Check this out.
We've heard such differing accounts, and the president has spoken strongly. You have as well on the deaths in Iran and the horrible atrocities that are being committed. Can you give us some sense of, we see reports of thousands, tens of thousands. What's the State Department's best estimate of what's happened on the ground?
Well, in the thousands for certain. And look, I think regimes, including that one in Iran, have learned that when you start shooting people in the head with snipers, it's effective. I mean, it works, and they've done it, and it's horrifying. And that's what we've seen. That regime is probably weaker than it has ever been. And the core problem they face, unlike the protests you saw in the past on some other topics, is that they don't have a way to address the core complaints of the protesters, which is that their economy's in collapse. And the reason why there's economies in collapse is because they spend all their money and all their resources building weapons and sponsoring terrorist groups around the world instead of reinvesting it back into their society. And as a result, have taken on massive global sanctions, which has isolated their economy and their country. And so that's what the Iranian people are demanding, is that they stop doing that and start caring about them and get these sanctions off them. And this regime is unwilling to do it. So the core challenge is the protests may have ebbed, but they will spark up again in the future, because this regime, unless they are willing to change and or leave, have no way of addressing the legitimate and consistent complaints of the people of Iran who deserve better.
All right. Okay. He laid the foundation. Marco Rubio laid the foundation for what I'm going to tell you guys right now. Okay. He said that the problem in Iran is that the people are protesting because the government is not doing right by the people. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. And he also claims that, well, the protest is really tamped down because, well, using snipers and shooting people in the head would kind of make them change. I have a big message for Americans. I am so proud of my brothers and sisters here in America, because look, they criminally murdered a woman, Renee Good. They popped a cap in her head, in her back, and our people didn't stop. Our people kept on saying, we're coming, we're coming. We're not going to let the thugs from Donald Trump do what Donald Trump would want us to do by killing or by attempting to kill. And then they popped a cap in Alex Preti. And we came out again and said, no, we will keep on coming and coming and coming. Why? Because, again, you're not doing what is right by us. But it gets even better, because while he talks about, wait a minute, Iran is not investing in their people, right? But let's be clear here. I think verify this for me, but I think even in Iran, uh, they may even have some sort of a universal health care. We don't, but they're saying they don't invest in their people. And why don't they invest in their people again? Let me think. They don't invest in their people, according to Rubio, because they're investing in their military. They're investing in all the quote unquote terrorist organizations they have on the outside. Of course, their terrorist organizations it would be equivalent to us having bases all over the world. Well, Iran has, I guess Iran uses Hezbollah and Hamas and all these guys all over the world. Look, I'm not trying to equate our good boys and girls who are serving in our military with Hamas and Hezbollah. But what I'm saying is the armed version, or what they're supporting with their money, the arms, is what we do. We have a well-funded defense industrial complex that waste all our money, as we have over 700 bases around the world, as we threaten people with bombs every single day. Today we threaten Iran with bombs, we threaten Venezuela with bomb them, we threaten Greenland and Denmark, we threaten the EU, we threaten Cuba, right? The most dangerous country in the world isn't Iran. The most dangerous country in the world is America, because whereas Iran doesn't have full reach, we are in every single corner of the earth. We are in every single corner of space. And unlike other countries, we use it. If you don't do what we say, we use it. Venezuela, play around, we bombed it. Haiti, we bombed it. We invaded. Panama, we invaded. Uruguay, I mean, Chile, we invaded. And there are various manners of invading, not only militarily, but otherwise. Nicaragua, we invaded. Cuba, we invaded. Dominican Republic, we invaded. Iraq, we invaded. Afghanistan, we invaded. Name it, everywhere. We actually do it. Let's see, when was Iran in other countries? They talk about, well, we have to protect Venezuela from the terrorists. Was Iran sending troops to Venezuela? No, but we sent troops to Iran. We sent troops to Iraq. You can't, at some point in time in our history, we are going to have to stop believing what they're telling us and telling them what we want them to do. Again, I repeat, at some point, we are going to have to stop buying the bull, because it hurts us. It's patriotic. It is patriotic to want to help your fellow person. It is patriotic. And you remember how I just mentioned that, well, Marco Rubio says that the reason Iran isn't taking care of their people is their military. Well, we know that's a fact here. We take care of a lot of other stuff. We can find money for a lot of things. We can never find it for healthcare. We can't find it for health subsidies, right? Look at about Iran. Iran, yeah, they have their problems. Check this out. Iran has a multi-layered, state-mandated, and largely universal healthcare system, with over 90% of its population having health insurance. The country has worked toward universal health coverage through initiatives like the 2014 Health Transformation Plan, focusing on improving affordability and expanding coverage for both residents and refugees. We don't even want to talk about giving people who are here health care. Oh, we don't want to fund the hospitals because those illegals may get some health care from the United States of America, a rich country. Iran, gives his refugees health care. Residents and refugees, through economic challenges, sometimes strain service quality, but they all have health care. So as we go around preaching around the world and saying, look how they're treating their people, remember, guess what? They have health care. You know how many people are going to die today because they don't have health care? You know how many people are going to get a heart attack today because they couldn't see their primary care physician? Do you know that? As we talk about Iran and all these other things, and as we watch our government talk about all these other countries not taking care of their people, rest assured that a lot of these people that we want to make into our enemies are taking much better care of their own than we are of ours. So as they want you to sing glory, glory, hallelujah to invade Cuba and Venezuela and Colombia and all these places, let's remember that all those countries that I just mentioned there take care of their own. Venezuela built clinics throughout several blocks all around Caracas and the interior of the country. Colombia as well. And we have our investment bankers. We have our investment bankers is doing what? Doing what? Think about it. So what I'm here to tell you is don't buy the propaganda. Do not buy the propaganda. Think on your own. Think for yourself. And when they try to give you these stories about how much better we are than everybody else, remember, they all have health care, vacation time, family leave, and all these things that we could only yearn of. And unless we point this out, you know, when we talk about changing people's minds, right? When we talk about doing all these things, we have to first give the proper narrative, because they can always look, oh, at least we're not like this country, or at least we're not like that country. Well, if we don't know the truth, we will sit back and say, yeah, things are bad here, but it could be worse. Nope. We got to know the truth, people. We have got to know the truth. All right. It's interesting because what Marco Rubio was again inside of at a hearing today, and we had one of the senators say that is a complete failure. What's occurring? I want to play this. I want to play this interview between Marco Rubio and a Democratic senator. And while I can understand what the Democratic senator is doing, the Democratic senator also suffer from one of the fallacies out there that it behooves me that even in the depths of our Senate, people can't get, or people refuse to accept the truth, the reality of the Bolivarian revolution and what it really meant. Check this out.
The scope of the project that you are undertaking in Venezuela is without precedent. You are taking their oil at gunpoint. You are holding and selling that oil, putting for now the receipts in an offshore Middle Eastern account. You're deciding how and for what purposes that money is going to be used in a country of 30 million people. I think a lot of us believe that that is destined for failure. And I know that you're telling us today just to be patient, but a month later, we have no information on a timetable for a democratic transition. Maduro's people are still in charge. Most of the political prisoners are in in jail. And by the way, those that have been let out have a gag order on them from the government. The opposition leader is still in exile. This looks already like it is a failure. You say you're in serious talks, but as you note, the Venezuelans are great at being in serious talks. They almost never deliver. So I'm just going to give you my three questions and hope that you'll answer them, because I do think we want to try to understand how to judge the efficacy of this as time goes on, because I worry you won't be back before this committee anytime soon, and to understand whether this is just facilitating corruption, both in Venezuela and here at home. So here are my three questions. First, reports are that you've given no bid licenses to two companies to sell Venezuela's oil. One of them is a massive donor to the president. To many Americans, that reeks. And so my question is, can you commit that partners for future sales are going to be chosen through a fair, open selection process? Second, if Delcy Rodriguez, who is an unelected leader, the head of Maduro's torture operation, is still in power 6 months from now, does that mean that your policy is a success or failure? How do we judge when we've had enough of Rodriguez? And third, in your testimony, you reserved the right to use force again in the future if the Venezuelan government isn't complying with your requests. So if, for instance, they refuse to give you access to the oil in the future, if they said, we're just going to keep it for ourselves, would this cause you to consider military action? And do you concede that if you're using military action simply to try to compel cooperation from the government, you absolutely need congressional authorization for that? So if you can answer those three questions.
So the first question was about the trading companies. The second is about Delcy still in power 6 months
Six months from now.
And the third is on the use of force.
Yes.
Okay. On the first one, the two traders. So here's the problem we faced. The problem we face in the short term is they had no place to put oil. They were running out of storage capacity for their oil. We had to move that oil to market very quickly. The only way to move it to market very quickly is to plug into these two primary trade companies that could sell it in the open market. That is not the permanent outcome here. That is a short-term fix to a short-term problem, which is they were literally storing oil. They brought in tankers and had tankers sitting offshore just to hold their oil. At some point, their capacity to produce was going to be shut down and their ability to generate revenue. So we had to move that oil very quickly. The long-term plan is not those two trading companies. The long-term plan is for them to have a normal energy program that sells directly into the market, directly to refineries and to companies that are exploiting and exploring it. For example, Chevron has operations there that never stopped. They seek to expand those operations. They don't need those trading companies. So those trading companies were a short-term fix for a very acute problem because we wanted to prevent societal collapse because they had no money for revenue. On the second point about her being still in power, look, let me say this, a couple things. This is not unprecedented. I can point to a number of places, Spain, Paraguay, two examples of places in which there was a transition, from an autocratic regime to a democratic regime, and it took time. I can't give you a timeline of how long it takes. It can't take forever. It's not even been 4 weeks since Maduro was reduced.
A year, two
Well, I think
years?
we need to be, let me put it to you this way. We need to be much further along 6 months from now, even 3 months from now. That may not be satisfactory to you, but I'm saying we have to be much further along 3, 4, 5 months. 3 or 4, 5 months from now cannot look like what today looks like. And I think there's acknowledgement on both sides of that. I can probably give you a better answer, and this is not deflecting, when we finally have people on the ground like the ambassador and the team around her on a daily basis that are interacting. Because one thing is for me to pick up the phone and talk to Delcy Rodriguez 3 times a week. Another thing is to have someone on the ground on a daily basis that's following these events, is talking to civil society, but also engaging with interim authorities. But the fact of the matter is that, yes, we want to see quick progress. As you said, it's unprecedented, okay? All I'm saying to you is, before this was stagnant. Before this, we had spent 14 years, you were involved in some of those efforts, 14 years trying to change the dynamic in Venezuela.
Let me just first address something. For 14 years, this was stagnant. It was stagnant because there was a quarantine blockade and there was sanctions on Venezuela. So you cripple a country's economy and then you say, look, it's been stagnant for 14 years because we crippled it. But I want to talk about Chris Murphy. Chris Murphy, great senator, no doubt about it. Also, he asked for the most part, the right questions. But the part that drives me crazy is all of us buying the narrative that somehow Delcy Rodriguez is somehow this woman who is running behind, torturing the opposition to the government. The bad ones here are the opposition to the government. I know in America it's rarely seen. There is no the right wing, Machado and all these guys are right wingers who for every time that these businesses were in power or had access to power had done absolutely nothing for the poor. I'm coming to you in a second, Ray. The poor never ever got success until the Bolivarian Revolution. Let's be clear here. The first time the poor in Venezuela could start businesses, go to school, have great health care around the corner was because of Hugo Chavez. The neglect that you heard him talk about it shouldn't even be talking about it in Iran. We should be talking about it here. The neglect that the American people have right now of no health care, etc. It's ridiculous. So let's be clear here. I know the narrative, and most Americans believe that Hugo Chavez was horrendous, that Delcy Rodriguez is horrendous, that Maduro. I don't like Maduro. Maduro's a well, uh, but you get the point. The idea is that the real bad people in this whole issue are the right wingers that have always taken advantage of the rich resources of the country, sold it on the cheap, made billions of dollars as the poor remain poor, and the American corporations and the French corporations and all these the British corporations all did well. Folks, we have to start hearing the truth. We have to start listening out for the truth. So, very good questions, but please, Senator, please, please don't continue to allow Americans to be snowed by the narrative coming out of the CIA about Venezuela. It's not the truth. All right, Ray Brackens, what's up, my brother?
Yeah, brother, I haven't had a chance to call you in a while and talk to you on the live show. I just wanted to say it's good to see you live. And yeah, I was actually calling because I was thinking about that paid pro. I was watching that interview you had with the guy, and he was mentioning about paid protesters. But you know, while they like to talk about paid protesters, and you know what, there are organizations, of course, there are paid organizers, you know, sprinkled in, but most people are volunteers. But they have no problem with the paid pundits and talking heads who get millions of dollars poured into their coffers to spread the fascist propaganda, and they don't believe anything they say, but they're paid, and they say it like they believe it. So I don't buy into that paid protester thing. If somebody is paid to fight for something they believe in, that's sustenance so that they can keep on through the fight, you know. But, you know, it shouldn't be villainized like it is, because, you know, some people have dedicated their life to the work of social justice. And if you know anything about the work, of course you do, it's very draining, it's very time consuming, and you need to be able to support yourself.
The
That's
leaders, look, let me tell you, it's the vast majority of the people inside in these movements are not paid. They're out there volunteering,
all.
and you know, people that have it as a profession, like myself and others, we depend on whatever folks are willing to donate. We don't have corporations that give or anything like that. To do this kind of work has to be a passion, and you do it as well. I think you've worked for Tops, you've worked for quite a few of these other 501c3s
Yeah.
where a lot of your work has been volunteering. Yes, you've been paid to do certain voter registration stuff, etc., but most of your work, or a lot of your work, has been volunteering. And you look
Yeah,
at look
true.
look at our chat right now. Our chat is filled. Our chat is filled with people I know personally or virtually who spend their time volunteering because they believe that they can make a difference in this society. I'm looking at both of our chats, populated with them, and the ones that are speaking the most about socialists are the ones that don't do a damn thing for society. But anyway, continue, my brother.
And it's just basically like you said, while we're, villainizing other countries for what they've done in their economy to bring success, we keep on saying, well, communism isn't the way, socialism isn't the way. And I love how you say, you know what, I don't care what you call it. I want a free market economy where people actually have a fair chance to make it in life.
That's all,
And that's all we want.
here's the thing about it. Here's the thing about it. When I talk to most of the MAGA folks around here, and I have that kind of a conversation saying, let's not talk about ideology. Let's talk about what you want, right? It always turns out,
Right.
it always turns out that we want the same thing. But you see, the puppeteers are there to tell all them MAGA folks that we got horns. And that is how they create the dissension. And then they're the ones who actually believe the junk, right? And I mean, it is a science. It is a science to get people to behave the way we are behaving as a society, because those people out there, I mean, a lot of these MAGA folks aren't all that bad. Look, if you say, oh, they're racist, well, I can tell you some stories about racists. I mean, I can tell you some stories about prejudice. But if I sit down and worry about those issues, right? We don't get anything done. I'm not going to solve the world's problems in one day, but I sure as hell can get the right person elected in 2026, which can start the change, right?
That's all
Which
we
is
can do. And to
that's
your earlier point, there's a saying that says, maybe all MAGA supporters aren't racist, but I can probably guess all racists support MAGA.
that's a good one, and actually that's probably true. And that is a true statement, right? That is a true statement, because I know a lot of MAGA folks that convince themselves to disregard the racist portion of their stuff because of their ideology, because of their identity. And I give those people grace. I know people hate me for saying that, right? But you have people that are liberals that really knock me to kingdom come on daily coast because I speak up for collectivism. And they're like, we don't believe it. And they tear you down for that, you know? So, I mean, you have to have grace in people and realize that we don't all think the same, but most of us want to get to the same place. And you give people grace for that. Anyway, I got to go. I got another video that I want to get through real quick, my brother.
All right. Well, it was fun chatting with your brother. I'll be on the other end,
Thank you, my
supporting
man.
you
And
as a viewer. And
I know I can always count on you guys, man. Thank you so kindly for calling in, my brother. We'll talk later, okay? Take care. All right, folks. One last video. There's this guy who came from somewhere else, some other city, to visit this city because he wanted to show support for the Somali community, which is under attack from ICE. Take a look at all the countries that Donald Trump decided they cannot come to the United States right now. Their visas are on hold. Take a look at who these countries are. Well, this guy came in and to say, I am going to come and support a barber shop. White guy comes into Somali territory. I'm going to support this barber shop. Listen to what he had to say, because it's interesting.
Let me take you to a city called Lewiston, Maine. It's about 45 minutes north of Portland. It's got maybe 40,000 people tops, and around 3 to 3,000 to 4,000 people of Somali descent, so about 10% of the population. Most of them are American citizens, but they are all pretty much staying off the street. This is the main drag, Lisbon Street in Lewiston, where there are a lot of Somali-owned businesses on that street, and no one is there. You could roll a bowling ball down that sidewalk. This was high noon, lunchtime, and it was cold, but they're used to the cold. That's not about the cold. It's because people aren't going out. We talked to one restaurant owner, Katie, who described how he was in his kitchen of his empty restaurant, because no one's eating there, doing some work at a stove, and he turned around to find ICE or DHS agents in his kitchen, proceeded to demand I-9, immigration forms for his workers, and he had them. He was legal, and they left. But it's sort of an example of what people say they're going through there. The barber shop is empty. In fact, the only person who was getting a haircut is a white guy from a whole different part of the state who had gone there to the Somali-owned business just to give his support. Take a listen to what he told me outside.
What is this? This is like the old Soviet Union. This is like a third world country where people are afraid to come out on the streets because they'll get picked on. Children are afraid to go to school. I thought about bringing my passport to the barber shop today. This is crazy.
Yeah, so that's the experience, Katie, that people are having in the state of Maine. And that was a couple of days ago. Since then, DHS said they have officially rounded up 200 people, but it's not entirely clear who those people are, what they were arrested for, have they been deported, all of the same questions that we've been seeing from other places across the country.
Let me tell you something, guys. And this is, I am from Central America, Panama. And there are a lot of Americans there that are there beyond their visas, right? Beyond their tourist cards, etc. And they're there, right? And nobody bothers them. They don't bother anybody. Over here, we have a lot of undocumented workers that they are the vibrancy of our communities. They pay Social Security taxes. They pay sales taxes. They will never, ever be able to collect Social Security taxes. Our Social Security system is lasting longer based on 10 million or so undocumented workers paying into Social Security, never going to be able to take their monies out. So when you hear that, like, these guys are a charge in our community, that's not true at all. Let me tell you what is true. What is true is undocumented folks that find a way to come over here because it is so difficult to come over here, so they just do it, and they just do it. Those are the creme de la creme, whether they are restaurant owners or farmers or whatever it is that they do. They clean the toilets in hotels. They are the creme de la creme. And let me tell you what I mean by that. They were able to survive and come and produce something. And sometimes you have to wonder if those that are so against these people are demonstrating their own inadequacies because they know that they never got ahead from their worth. They never got ahead from their works. They got ahead from their privilege. Those people that you see so against these immigrants are likely folks that got ahead by their privilege and not what they were able to provide to society. Because those immigrants, the vast majority of them, are a big asset to this country. Personally, as an immigrant, I was a big asset, both in the science that I've done, in the products that I've created, because those of us that come from other places, we personally feel like we have to work twice as hard, 10 times as hard, because we know. Love you guys. We're at the end of the program. Please remember to support the program however you can. You know we're telling the truth. You know we're not trying to do anything other than be truthful and make our country a better country. Please support us however you can. Please become a paid subscriber of our newsletter, Egberto Off the Record. Again, go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter to become a paid subscriber. We give you perks. Right now, all 5 of my books you can read online when you become a paid subscriber. And guess what? I am about, last night I got all 10 chapters lined up. We just have to kind of clean it up, do some copy editing and so forth. But my new book, the 6th book, is on its way whenever I get a chance to finish it. And that as well, all our paid subscribers will be able, as soon as it drops, you'll be the first to see it as well. And I think you guys are going to like this book. I think you're going to like this book. Anyway, folks, we got to close it out. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.